There's a difference between being alone and being lonely. Being alone is a physical condition. It's the empty chair, the quiet room, the weekend with no plans. But loneliness? Loneliness is emotional. And there is one kind of loneliness that is sharper, colder, more devastating than any isolation. It's the loneliness of a marriage. The kind of loneliness that happens while you're still technically together. It's the loneliness of lying in a double bed, next to a warm body, and still feeling like you're separated by thousands of miles. Because the cruelest part isn't that your partner is gone. It's that they're right there, and yet you can't reach them. You can feel it in the way the house sounds. The silence isn't peaceful. It's loaded, heavy, like something unsaid has been sitting in the air for years. And on the outside, everything looks fine. You go to work, you pay the bills, you raise kids, you smile at family gatherings, you even laugh sometimes. If people looked at your marriage from a distance, they'd probably call it stable, maybe even happy. But inside, something is quietly dying. You carry this hollowness in your chest that no one sees. And the worst part is how confusing it feels, because technically, you're not alone. So you start questioning yourself. Am I overreacting? Am I too sensitive? Is this just what marriage becomes? Let me say this clearly. If you've ever sat in your car in the driveway for 10 extra minutes, just to delay walking into your own home, you're not imagining it, you're not weak, you're not dramatic, you're experiencing the psychology of being emotionally abandoned in the one place you are supposed to feel safe. Let's name what's happening, because naming it is the first form of freedom. What you're feeling isn't just a rough patch. It isn't you being too emotional, too needy, too sensitive. And it's definitely not you expecting perfection. What you're living through has a real psychological name: emotional divorce. It's when two people stay legally married, but they are no longer emotionally connected. You share a home, a calendar, maybe a mortgage, and you might even share children, but you don't share a life, because the real marriage isn't the paperwork. The real marriage is the inner world you build together, where you feel seen, safe, chosen, and understood. And when that inner world dies, the body of the relationship still walks around like a ghost. This is why it messes with your head so deeply. From the outside, nothing looks wrong enough. There's no big scandal, no dramatic explosion, no obvious proof to point to, so your brain starts bargaining. Maybe it's normal. Maybe every couple becomes distant. Maybe I'm the problem. That's the trap. Because emotional abandonment rarely shows up as a single event. It's 1,000 small moments of being ignored, dismissed, minimized, until you stop reaching out altogether. And once you stop reaching out, the loneliness becomes invisible. But I want you to hear this clearly. If you feel alone in the same house with someone who promised to be your partner, you are not crazy. You are not making it up. You are grieving a relationship that still exists on paper. Now, let's get painfully specific, because when you've been living in emotional confusion for years, clarity feels like oxygen. Emotional divorce isn't a mood, it's a pattern, and it leaves fingerprints. Here are the 4 core signs. Sign number 1, emotional abandonment. Not physical absence, emotional absence. You feel unseen, unchosen, like your feelings land in a void. You can be crying next to them and still feel like you're alone in the room. Sign number 2, communication breakdown. When conversations happen, they don't create closeness. They create tension, defensiveness, misinterpretation, and eventually, silence. Not peaceful silence, shut down silence, the kind where you stop talking because you've learned it won't matter. Sign number 3, escape fantasies and apathy. You start living in your head, daydreaming about a different life. Not necessarily a new person, just a new peace. a small apartment, a quiet kitchen, a place where your nervous system can finally unclench. This isn't weakness, it's survival. Your brain is searching for dopamine because home feels emotionally dead. Sign number 4, connection leakage. When intimacy freezes at home, the need for connection doesn't disappear, so you find it in small hits: a co-worker who listens, a stranger who smiles, someone online who makes you feel seen again. You may not be cheating physically, yet emotionally, your energy is already leaving the marriage. Now here's what most people miss. Emotional divorce doesn't happen overnight. It has 3 levels. Level 1, the drift. You still care, but you're distant. You're tired. You're busy. You keep telling yourself, we'll fix it later. Level 2, the resentment loop. Small disappointments turn into silent rage. You're not just lonely, you're bitter. Every interaction feels loaded. Level 3, the emotional death. You stop trying. You stop hoping. You function like roommates. The relationship is technically alive, but emotionally, it's gone. And if you're listening to this thinking, this is exactly my home, then no, this isn't in your head. It's a real psychological reality, and it deserves a real response, not denial. Here's a truth that can change everything. Not all unhappy marriages are the same. And if you don't understand what type of marriage you're in, you can spend years applying the wrong solution to the wrong problem. So let's map it clearly. There are 4 common relationship types behind emotional divorce. Type number 1, the neglect marriage. No yelling, no big fights, just emotional starvation. Your partner isn't cruel, they're absent. They don't ask, they don't notice, they don't reach. You slowly feel like you're living with a stranger who happens to share your last name. Type number 2, the contempt marriage. This is where criticism becomes the atmosphere. Everything you do is wrong. Your tone is wrong. Your timing is wrong. Your existence feels like a flaw. Contempt is deadly because it doesn't just hurt you, it rewires you to believe you deserve the pain. Type number 3, the stonewall marriage. This one is colder. Conversations don't even turn into arguments because they refuse to engage. They shut down, walk away, or go silent for days. Silence becomes punishment. And over time, you become afraid to speak because you've learned connection costs you emotional safety. Type 4, the control abuse marriage. This is the most dangerous. It can be obvious or subtle. Monitoring, intimidation, financial control, threats, humiliation, isolating you from friends. In this type, the goal isn't disconnection. The goal is power. Why does this matter? Because a neglect marriage might be repaired. A stonewall marriage might need structured therapy. A contempt marriage requires deep accountability. But a control marriage? That one isn't a communication issue. That one is a safety issue. And you can't heal in a place that keeps hurting you. So now the question becomes painfully simple. If the loneliness is this real, if your nervous system is screaming every day, why do you stay? And I need you to hear this first, because shame keeps people trapped. You don't stay because you're weak. You stay because your brain is wired to fear change more than it fears misery. Misery is familiar, and familiarity feels like safety to the survival brain, even when it's destroying you. These are the 4 invisible chains. Chain 1, fear and the status quo. Your mind keeps whispering, don't blow up your life. Divorce feels like stepping off a cliff in the dark. Financial uncertainty, social judgment, the children, the paperwork, the chaos. But deeper than all of that is something most people won't admit. It's the fear of losing your identity. Who are you without this marriage? Who are you without this role? Your brain would rather stay in pain than face the terrifying question of who you become next. Chain number 2, the sunk cost fallacy. 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, you think about everything you invested. Your youth, your sacrifices, your memories, and your brain says if you leave now, it means it was all for nothing. But here is the brutal truth. Those years are gone either way. The only question is whether you're going to lose the next 10 years too. Chain number 3. Dependency and eroded self-esteem. This one is quiet and deadly. In a marriage filled with criticism, neglect, or emotional coldness, your confidence doesn't just drop, it dissolves. You start thinking, maybe I'm hard to love. Maybe no one else would want me. Maybe I'm too old. Sometimes it's financial dependency, very real, but often it's emotional dependency. You forget what it feels like to stand on your own feet. So you stay not because you want the relationship, but because you don't believe you can survive without it. Chain number 4. Guilt and social pressure. This is the empath trap. You feel guilty for breaking vows, guilty for failing, guilty for causing pain even to someone who keeps hurting you. You confuse endurance with morality. You were taught that leaving is selfish, but let me ask you a question that cuts through the illusion. Is it noble to set yourself on fire just to keep someone else warm? And here's the sentence that many people need to finally wake up. Staying is not neutral. It's a decision. It's a vote. And every year you stay, you are voting for more of the same. Here's where it gets even more disturbing, and oddly, more comforting. Because what's keeping you in this marriage isn't just psychology, it's biology. Your nervous system is not making rational relationship decisions. It's trying to survive. Let's break down the trap. First, the attachment loop. In many emotionally disconnected marriages, the partners fall into a pattern called anxious avoidant dynamics. One person becomes the pursuer, the one asking, reaching, trying to fix. The other becomes the distancer, the one shutting down, withdrawing, disappearing emotionally. And the more you chase and the more they retreat. The more they retreat, the more you panic. Until love starts to feel like a job you can never finish. Second, intermittent hope. This is the same mechanism that makes gambling addictive. Just when you're about to give up, they become warm again. They compliment you. They touch you. They act like the partner you fell in love with. And your brain lights up like, there it is, the real them is back. So you stay. Not because things are good, but because the hope comes in unpredictable doses. And that makes it neurologically powerful. That's why you can survive months of coldness for one good weekend. You're not stupid, you're being reinforced. Third, the freeze response. People talk about fight or flight, but in long-term emotional stress, many people enter freeze. Freeze looks like procrastination. Freeze looks like, I can't decide. Freeze looks like staying in the same house for years, feeling numb, watching your life pass, while telling yourself you'll deal with it someday. But freeze is not laziness. Freeze is what happens when your body decides escape feels too dangerous, so it shuts down hope to reduce pain. And if that's you, it doesn't mean you don't want freedom. It means your nervous system needs safety before it can choose it. Now we need to talk about the cost, because staying doesn't just hurt your feelings, it changes your biology. When your home becomes emotionally unsafe, your body enters chronic fight or flight. Cortisol stays high. Your nervous system never fully powers down. You sleep, but you don't recover. That's why so many people in unhappy marriages develop symptoms that seem random. Fatigue, headaches, stomach issues, chest tightness, panic, brain fog. It's not random. It's your body trying to carry emotional pain that has nowhere else to go. And mentally, something even more sinister happens. Cognitive dissonance. You're holding two realities at the same time. Marriage is supposed to be love, and I feel alone with the person I married. That conflict is unbearable, so the brain protects itself by doing one of three things. It rationalizes, it numbs, or it collapses into learned helplessness, the belief that nothing you do will change anything. But here's the part people rarely say out loud. This doesn't just affect you, it affects your children. Because kids don't learn love from speeches, they learn love from the emotional weather of the house. They watch the silence at dinner. They feel the tension in your voice. They absorb the unspoken grief between two adults who stop choosing each other. Even if you never yell, a cold home is still a stressful home. So the question becomes urgent. How much longer can you afford to pay with your body, your mind, and the next generation's blueprint for love? Now we reach the turning point, because not every marriage should end, but not every marriage should be saved either. The most important distinction you can make is this: unhappy is not the same as unsafe. An unhappy marriage can look like distance, neglect, miscommunication, emotional drifting. Painful, yes, but potentially repairable if both people are willing. An unsafe marriage is different. Unsafe means control, threats, intimidation, humiliation, financial restriction, isolation. It means you're not just lonely, you're afraid. And if fear is the price of staying, then working on it isn't the answer. Safety comes first. So here's the fork in the road. If your partner is willing to take accountability, get help, and rebuild trust, there's a path called stay and fix. It's hard, but it's real. But if your partner refuses change, punishes you for speaking, or escalates when you set boundaries, there is another path: exit plan. And let me give you permission to believe this. Choosing peace is not selfish, it's survival. Because you cannot heal inside the environment that keeps wounding you. If you've been stuck for years, the goal isn't to make a perfect decision overnight. The goal is clarity, fast enough to stop wasting your life in confusion. Here are 5 practical tools that cut through the fog. Tool number 1, the reality audit. Ask yourself, when I express a need, what happens? Do they lean in or punish me for having feelings? If honesty consistently creates danger, you're not in a partnership, you're in survival. Tool number 2, the boundary script. Most people stay stuck because they never speak clearly. Try this. I'm not asking for perfection, I'm asking for effort. If nothing changes, I will make changes. A boundary isn't a threat, it's a line that protects your sanity. Tool number 3, the 30-day connection test. For 1 month, stop guessing and start observing. You initiate 2 micro-rituals a day, a check-in question and a small act of warmth. Then you watch. Do they reciprocate or reject? Effort reveals truth. Tool number 4, the decision matrix. Rate these areas from 1 to 10. Respect, emotional safety, health impact, children impact, finances, intimacy, trust. Numbers don't lie when emotions do. Tool number 5, the support map. List your people, your therapist options, your financial plan, your legal information, because the more supported you are, the less fear controls you. You don't need motivation. You need a system that makes reality undeniable, so you stop living in hope and start living in truth. Leaving isn't an event, it's a process, a crossing. So here's a simple 90-day roadmap to get your life back. Days 130, stabilize your nervous system, sleep, move your body, stop self-erasing, start telling the truth, first to yourself. Days 31-60, rebuild identity and support, reconnect with friends, improve financial literacy, create options. Days 61-90, choose. Either commit to a real repair plan with accountability or prepare an exit with dignity and safety. Because the truth is, staying in the familiar dark doesn't protect you. It only delays your freedom. Be afraid. That's human. Just don't let fear write the ending of your story. If this spoke to you, subscribe for more psychology-based videos like this and share your story in the comments. You're not alone here. And if you need support, reach out to a qualified therapist. Don't carry this by yourself. Thank you for watching.